Ensara TV ekerenga kiomogusi.
We'll move to another forum and might want to extract the answer, and at that time we might be vulnerable because the document is unsigned, the clerk is not there. This could look like clerical job, the CS, but this is very critical to the proceedings.
Yeah, I think this is an internal matter we need to discuss.
Yes, direct us to the document you're referring to, and then the table of contents. And that's why I said earlier that all the documents that are well labeled, we can be able to follow up. So, Bwana CS, as we wait for that letter, and you're here, you're unanswered, so we will listen to every word that. Direct the committee where that document is. In short, we submitted what you would call 4 documents. The first one is the letter addressed, which is referenced as indicated and dated 18th of September 2024. Allow me to pass the apologies of a number of the PPP committee members who are to join me for the meeting, including the chairman of the PPP committee, who is my PS at the National Treasury. As my introductory remarks, allow me to remind us all that as a nation, we were keen to create room for participation of the private sector in the financing, construction, development, operation, or maintenance of infrastructure or development projects through public-private partnerships, hence the enactment of Public-Private Partnerships Act 2021. And Mr. Chairman, you'll allow me just to interject there that this is actually off-balance sheet way of financing our projects. We are all aware of the constraints that we have in our exchequer, the pressures. So under the PPP Act, various procurement methods for a PPP project are outlined. And these include 1, direct procurement, 2, privately initiated proposals, 3, competitive bidding, and finally, restricted bidding. It is therefore within the law to engage the private sector in public development undertaking. And Chairman, as I respond to your communication, I will outline the lawful method applied in the Adani instance. At this moment, in the course of my brief introductory remarks, Chairman and members, I wish to call to note that under the said law was the creation of the Public-Private Partnerships Committee and the Directorate, whose import in ensuring that the law is upheld where any procurement process of the 4 outlined in the Act is ongoing is key. These key roles have been aptly applied as legally required, as will be shown as I now proceed to respond to the itemized questions as set out in your letter to me referenced above. Number 1, Chairman, you asked me to outline the PIP process, that is privately initiated proposals process under the Public-Private Partnership Act, with specific focus on the PIP by Adani Airport Holdings Limited. Sections 40 to 44 of the PPP Act provides for procurement of the PPPs using the privately initiated proposal method, which is the method that has been applied by Adani. The Act set out steps that apply in the event this method of procurement is used. So now the process of privately initiated proposal. I get now to the process. Step number 1. Step number 1 is the submission of PIP by private party and the consideration of the PIP by contracting authority. This is the step that was taken by Adani via their submission to the Kenya Airports Authority. A submission is complete as per the law where the requirements that the private party is required to demonstrate under Section 40, subsection 2 of the PPP Act are met. And these are, A, that this project is aligned with the national infrastructure priorities and meets a demonstrated societal need. B, the project provides value for money And this means that the undertaking of a public function of the contracting authority by a private party under the PPP results is a net benefit accruing to that contracting authority as defined in terms of cost, price, quality, timelines, or risk transfer. C, the project proposal provides sufficient information for the contracting authority, which in this case was Kenya Airports Authority, to assess fiscal affordability of and the potential contingent liability implications of the proposal for the project. The proposal should provide full disclosure excuse me, on all relevant project information for accountability to stakeholders. D, the project can be delivered at a fair market price. E, that the project supports the efficient transfer of risk from the public sector. And F, that for transparency and accountability, the proposal contains the following information set out under Section 40, subsection 3 of the Act, and in this case, the PPP Act. 1, a detailed description of the proposed project that must include reference designs, sketches, and alignment maps. 2, detailed project needs analysis, including a description of the benefits to society and alignment with the government's infrastructure plan. 3, a description of the environmental and social features of the proposed project. 4, a detailed technical description of the project, including a construction schedule and requirements on enabler services. 5, a detailed description of the financial viability of the project. 6, a preliminary operating plan for the proposed project. And 7, a description of the key project risks and risk allocation under the project. Number 8 is a disclosure on any government support measures the proposed project may require. Number 9, a description of non-monetary government support measures that the project may require. And finally, number 10 is a justification why the project is not suitable for open competitive procurement. Now, step number 2, Mr. Chairman, is submission of PIP proposal to the PPP Directorate for assessment and subsequent approval by the committee. Notwithstanding Section 40, subsection 5 of the Act, which grants discretion to the Cabinet Secretary for Finance, in this case, National Treasury and Economic Planning, to prescribe when PIP submissions may be made. Section 40, subsection 6 of the Act requires a private party at the time of submitting the PIP proposal to the contracting authority to pay into the Project Facilitation Fund a non-refundable review fee calculated at the rate of 0.5% of the estimated project cost, or USD 50,000, whichever is lower. Chairman, in line with these provisions of the law, Adani Airport Holdings Limited submitted a privately initiated proposal to Kenya Airports Authority in line with Section 40, subsection 1 of the PP Act 2021. The same was considered by the Kenya Airports Authority, which is the contracting authority in this matter, in line with Section 40, subsection 2 and subsection 3 of the Act. Of emphasis, Mr. Chairman and members, is that consistent with the legal requirements, there followed submission of the PIP proposal to the Directorate for assessment and approval by the committee. I think that should be added. I didn't put it in my written submission, but you should add that approval is actually given by the committee and not by the Directorate. 1, the State Department for Transport, Mr. Chairman, submitted to the National Treasury via letter as reference in my submission, and which is dated 1st March 2024, the privately initiated proposal for assessment and approval in line with Section 40, subsection 4 of the Act. And 2, that Adani Airport Holdings Limited paid 50,000 USD appraisal fee as set in the law. Attached herewith is the letter forwarding the PIP and PIP itself, and that is annexure A and B, respectively. So you have there a letter from the State Department, which has come from KAA through the State Department to the Treasury or to the Directorate, and the documents, the PIP documents. Step number 3, Mr. Speaker, then will kick in when the PIP is with both the contracting authority and the Directorate. This is conducting due diligence on the private party Due diligence on the private party under Section 41 of the Act is conducted by the Directorate, Mr. Chairman, and the contracting authority to confirm that the private party A is not debarred by any country or any international organization from participating in PPPs or similar arrangements. B is not corrupt. C is not insolvent. D is tax compliant in all jurisdictions in which it has local presence and in its home country, and that it is not in default on payment of social security and employment benefits or contributions in its jurisdictions of operation and registration. And finally, has not, and its directors or officers have not been convicted of any criminal offense. So this is a fairly high level due diligence conducted mostly through the desktop computer. Step number 4. The due diligence paves way to the evaluation of the PIP. Mr. Chairman, evaluation of the PIP is carried out by the contracting authority and the Directorate jointly after development of an evaluation criteria by the Directorate in consultation with contracting authority. The evaluation is carried out within 90 days from the date the proposal is submitted to the Directorate by the contracting authority, and the Directorate is required to develop an assessment report. So the evaluation criteria by law shall include public interest criteria, project feasibility criteria, PPP sustainability, and affordability criteria. In the Adani instance, steps 3 and 4, which require conducting due diligence and evaluation on the private party as required by law, was undertaken. 1, an evaluation committee comprising of members from the Kenya Airports Authority, State Department for Transport, and National Treasury, as part of the evaluation process, undertook a preliminary due diligence and evaluation exercise in compliance with Section 41 and 42 of the Act. And this is what I called high-level evaluation. Number 2, the evaluation committee in evaluating the proposal applied the criteria specified in Section 42(3) of the Act to scrutinize the proposal. That is, public interest criteria, project feasibility criteria. I'm simply restating what I have already stated up there, sustainability criteria and affordability criteria. The committee identified 22 issues in the PIP proposal and recommended that the concerns be addressed by Adani Airport Holdings Limited at the project development phase. 22 issues. And attached herewith is the evaluation report. It's annexure number C.
Chairman, slight point of order.
Yes,
I noticed that the CS keeps on editing his document as he reads it. What is the word suitability? He reads as sustainability. I don't understand whether there's any import to that.
Yeah, maybe the chair, the word here is not sustainability. If I did that, that's just, I did not edit my written submission intentionally. My apologies. Step number 5. Members, the evaluation having concluded, the law anticipates the submission and assessment of PIP by the Directorate. More specifically, the PPP Directorate is required under Section 42(6) of the Act to carry out a detailed assessment and make recommendations to the committee within 5 working days after concluding the evaluation on whether the project can proceed to project development phase. The committee can approve, reject, or guide on the procurement method. Step number 6. This is now the approval of the PIP by the committee. So after receiving the assessment report from the Directorate, the committee will consider the PIP to determine whether or not the project may proceed to the project development phase. In its determination, the committee shall consider the assessment report submitted by the Directorate, the review and recommendations of the Directorate, and finally, any benchmarking and market testing results. Chairman and members, retaining our focus on the Adani instance, please note that in line with steps 5 and 6, assessment and submission of PIP by the Directorate as well as approval by the committee as required under the provisions of the law occurred. 1, the Directorate conducted an assessment of the evaluation report and prepared a technical working paper for presentation to the committee. I have attached herewith the technical working paper as annexure number E. The PIP evaluation report, number 2, the PIP evaluation report was presented to the committee at its 40th extraordinary PPP committee meeting held on 13th March 2024. 3, the PPP committee considered the report at its meeting and approved that the project should progress to the project development phase in accordance with Section 43 of the Act. In addition, the private party and the Kenya Airports Authority were required to address the following at project development phase. Number 1, the documentation with respect to tax compliance should be subjected to verification by the Kenya High Commission in India. Number 2, the proposed phase 1, that is 2025 to 2029, should be compressed to a shorter period given the urgency of its components. Number 3, the proposed concession period of 30 years on a build, operate, transfer or BOT model should be determined on the basis of a comprehensive financial assessment of the proposed project. In that regard, to facilitate this analysis, the proponent should provide, and the proponent in this case is the private party, that's Adani, should provide a financial model, detailed EPC cost estimates, detailed O&M cost estimates, and details of the financing terms. Number 4, the proposed equity IRR of 18% should be negotiated by the parties. Further, compensation for the value of asset transferred at the end of the concession term will be applied if the proponent has not realized its targeted return. Number 5, the aero and non-aeronautical charges should be subjected to relevant national and international laws, including the concession order under the Kenya Airports Authority Act, Cap 395 laws of Kenya, Air Passenger Service Charge Act, Cap 475 laws of Kenya, and negotiations with third parties with existing contracts with Kenya Airports Authority. Number 6, land acquisition or allocation should be aligned with the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport Master Plan and subject to availability of land and requisite approvals, Kenya Airports Authority Board, NLC, and other relevant government agencies, noting that Kenya Airports Authority has existing leases on land with third parties and also has planned developments in line with its strategic plan. Number 7, Kenya Airports Authority should provide details of the land available for purposes of the city's side development to the proponent. In turn, the proponent should formulate a clear development proposal for the city side component as part of their feasibility study. Number 8, the proponent should, as part of their feasibility study, make proposals to Kenya Airports Authority to accommodate the project in the JKIA master plan. Number 9, the risk matrix should be reviewed, including social risks, and risks allocated appropriately. And further, a proper mitigation plan should be provided by the proponent. Number 10, all commitments must be made in line with the Kenyan laws, and any proposed amendments to the laws should be in accordance with the established lawmaking processes. Further, any protection granted to the proponent for changes in laws shall only be limited to changes that directly discriminate the proponents. Number 11, the exclusivity of concession rights as provided in the proposal should be reviewed, ensuring that the rights, assets, and areas of operation are clearly defined in the transaction documents. Number 12, tax exemptions as proposed should be subjected to the laws of Kenya, and applications should be made on a case-by-case basis. Number 13, the proposed heads of terms for the concession agreement should be negotiated at the appropriate stage. Number 14, the project costing is indicative at this stage. More accurate cost estimates should be agreed during the feasibility phase and once project specifications have been finalized. Number 15, a transition plan to facilitate the transfer of assets, liabilities, and obligations from the grantor of the concession to the concessionaire should be developed. The transition plan should specify the timing, rationale, and processes or procedures for the transfer of assets, liabilities, and obligations from one party to the other. Number 16, the proposed fixed concession fee of USD 47 million per year should be reviewed and a valuable component to the concession fee introduced to ensure that the government of Kenya is entitled to a share in the upside. Further, the concession fee should be set at a level to cover operating expenses and that Kenya Airports Authority is not left in a no worse financial position. Number 7, the tariffs for end users are compounded by 3% on annual basis, which has a bearing on the competitiveness of the hub. In that regard, further assessment of the impact of the proposed tariff increments should be undertaken. Number 18, the Kenya Airports Authority should undertake extensive stakeholder engagement for this project. And finally, that the Kenya Airports Authority should ensure that they have the requisite capacity to finalize the project development phase within 6 months as provided under Section 43(2) of the PPP Act. This decision, Mr. Chairman, by the committee was communicated to the State Department for Transport via a letter, with a letter as reference there and dated 13th March 2024, that is Annexure F. Chairman and members, the communication of the committee anticipates that, in line with the law, the following steps may apply. Now, step number 7. Now is the project development phase. After approval of the PIP proposal by the committee, the private party shall proceed to the project development stage after preparation of project development activities, which include a detailed geographical scope of the project and the technical, financial, legal, social, environmental, and economic feasibility studies. B, PPP suitability assessment or value for money assessment. C, comprehensive risk matrix. D, a preliminary PPP structure. And finally, a plan for stakeholder outreach to ensure social acceptability of the project. The private party and Kenya Airports Authority may enter into a project agreement to outline the terms which the private party will undertake the project development activities. Section 43(7), I confirm, Chair, the project agreement has not been signed or agreed on. I think I've mixed it. That was Section 43(7). I confirm, Chair, that the project agreement has not been signed or agreed on between the government and Adani Airport Holdings Limited. And maybe let me just add there that project development is a detailed feasibility study phase by the proponent. Step number 8 is evaluation and submission of documents from the project development. Mr. Chairman, evaluation of the documents from project development phase is undertaken by the contracting authority and the directorate in accordance with the criteria as set out in Section 42 of the PPP Act, Cap 430, and submitted to the directorate for assessment. This was done by what we would call the project implementation team. The evaluation report is then forwarded to the National Treasury by the Kenya Airports Authority through the apparent ministry for consideration and approval by the PPP committee. Mr. Chairman, the step number 9, assessment and approval of documents from project development phase. I want the committee to ignore the first paragraph there, which starts with documents from this phase, because actually it should have been tied. This was just explaining the number of days it would take for the previous process to conclude. So it doesn't add any more value. And because it was too late for me to amend this, it has come here, Mr. Chairman, my apologies, so that paragraph is not adding any value. I move to the next paragraph that the committee...
Maybe for the record, the paragraph that is below step 9.
Yes.
Start with document and ends...
From this phase, it ends with this phase.
So you're deleting that?
It's actually three lines. The last line is short.
Okay, proceed.
So the committee may, within 14 days of the contracting authority and any independent reviews or advice that the committee may solicit, determine that, and that is Section 43(1), 11, the project meets the requisite criteria and grant approval for procurement. B, the project does not meet the requisite criteria and guide on alternative methods for implementation. Or C, the project does not meet any of the relevant criteria and should be abandoned. Chairman and members, I have outlined to you one of the lawful steps as set out in the Act. The other lawful step that may follow at this project development stage is provided under Section 43, 6, and 7 of the Act. Excuse me. In respect to the Adani instance, in line with the law as it relates to the project development phase. Now, number one, Kenya Airports Authority and Adani Airport Holdings Limited did not enter into a project development agreement as provided in Section 43, 6 of the Act. This Act is not 2024, it's 2021. Yeah. Section 43, subsection 6 of the PPP Act 2021.
Is this subsection 6 or 7? It's written 7.
No, it's supposed to be 6. Again, Chair, as I told you, we were working on this. If you check, the Act is actually subsection 6. So this is one of the corrections. My apologies again, that should be made. And then again, the PPP Act is 2021, not 2024. So entering into a project development agreement is a discretionary and not mandatory requirement. So I wanted to point out that the two parties did not enter into a project development agreement as provided in the Act. But again, I'm pointing out that this is discretionary, it is not mandatory. 2, upon receiving approval for the proposal to advance to the project development phase, Adani undertook a feasibility study that was submitted to the Kenya Airports Authority for review. 3, subsequently, Kenya Airports Authority, through the State Department, wrote a letter which is dated 4th April, and the details are provided there, of 2024, forwarded the feasibility study / project development report from Adani Airport Holdings to the National Treasury for its consideration and approval by the committee. Attached herewith is the letter from Kenya Airports Authority and project development report, which is annexed to number G and H, respectively. And to show this esteemed committee the sustained steps by my ministry to ensure adherence to the law in the evaluation and submission of documents from project development phase, more specifically the feasibility study conducted in line with Section 43.5, 1, the National Treasury, through a letter reference as indicated, and which is dated 9th April 2024, requested the Kenya Airports Authority to reconvene the evaluation committee to evaluate the project development report submitted by Adani Airport Holdings. The evaluation was conducted from 15th to 19th of April 2024. Attached herewith again is the letter as annexure number I. 2, Kenya Airports Authority, through a letter reference as indicated but dated May 2nd, 2024, forwarded the evaluation report of the project development report to the State Department of Transport and copied to the National Treasury for review. Attached herewith is the letter from the KAA evaluation report and addendum to the evaluation report. That is annexure J, K, and L, respectively. This steered the process into the next stage, which is the assessment and approval of documents from project development phase to this end. Now, number one, the Directorate, Mr. Chairman, conducted an assessment of the evaluation report and prepared a technical working paper that was presented to the committee in its 46th ordinary meeting held on 3rd of May 2024. Attached again is the technical working paper of the Directorate on the matter, annexure number M. The PPP committee considered the project development report and granted approval to Kenya Airports Authority and Adani to proceed to negotiations with the assistance of a transaction advisor and address or negotiate the areas identified by the evaluation committee. Again, we have attached the letter on annexure number N, which is dated 9th May 2024. This is what one would call the preliminary heads of terms. Allow me, Mr. Chairman and members, to continue to outline the law in respect to the PIP process following the decision. Now that takes us to step number 10. Step number 10 is the procurement design stage. You can also call it negotiation of the PIP, section 44. So subsequent to approval of the PIP by the committee, the contracting authority shall, with the assistance of the directorate, directly negotiate the project proposal with the private party. The direct negotiations with the private party shall be conducted within 6 months, culminating with a project agreement subject to obtaining the clearance of the Attorney General for development of the PPP project. If negotiations are not completed within 6 months, the negotiation shall be terminated. Now, if the contracting authority, which is now KAA, receives more than one privately initiated proposal and all proceed to the project development phase, then the contracting authority may use a restricted tendering process, and that is provided for under section 44, subsection 4. If the contracting authority determines that the project should be procured competitively because of market interest or the existence of equally competent alternative technologies that could deliver higher value for money to the government, the contracting authority may elect to subject the project to open competitive tender under this act. That, again, is under section 44, subsection 5. And I want to emphasize there, Chair, may elect. Where the contracting authority determines that an open tender is in the public interest, it shall establish a clear and realistic timeline for the preparation of tender documentation and the administration of the bidding process. That you will find under section 44.6. Number 11. Step number 11 is publication of feasibility studies, section 43.14. The contracting authority is required to publish the feasibility studies and project documentation used to evaluate the project, subject to disclosure guidelines on public-private partnership projects for the time being in force. Step 12, approval of the concession agreement. The PPP committee is required to approve the execution of the project agreement between the contracting authority and proponent within 28 days after receiving the project and financial risk assessment report. Step number 13, comprehensive due diligence of the private party. Section 27 now of the Act. This is the due diligence conducted under Section 27. Remember, we have two of them, Chairman. There's one provided for under Section 41, and now we are under Section 27. A contracting authority, before execution of a project agreement, is required to undertake a comprehensive due diligence on the private party to establish A, the financial capacity of the private party to undertake the project, and B, the relevant experience of the private party in undertaking projects of similar nature, C, relevant technical expertise to undertake the project, and D, satisfied the legal, social, and environmental due diligence parameters prescribed by the PPP Directorate. In relation to Adani, Mr. Chairman, again, I don't want us to lose sight and focus on what is before us. What has followed has been negotiation of the PIP, Section 44. More specifically, following approval by the committee, Kenya Airports Authority proceeded to directly negotiate with Adani Airport Holdings Limited. 2, a negotiation committee was constituted and conducted negotiation through a series of in-person and teleconference meetings from 4th of June 2024 to date, and negotiated ahead of terms, as I mentioned earlier, detailing non-binding terms of the transaction. The committee included representatives from Kenya Airports Authority, which is the contracting authority, State Department for Transport as the line department, Kenya Civil Aviation Authority as interested party, State Law Office as required by law, and then PPP Directorate of the National Treasury, assisted by a transaction advisor procured by Kenya Airports Authority. The State Department of Transport, through a letter dated 13th of August 2024, and I've referenced it there, submitted the project and financial risk assessment report together with the heads of terms for consideration by the Public-Private Partnership Committee. Attached here is a copy of the letter, financial risk and assessment report, and heads of terms, annexure O, P, and Q, respectively. The Directorate then prepared, this is number 4, an assessment of the evaluation report and prepared a technical working paper that was presented to the committee in its 47th ordinary meeting held on 21st of August 2024. Attached again is the technical working paper of the Directorate on the matter, annexure R. Number 5, project and financial risk assessment report, together with the heads of terms, was presented to the committee at its 47th ordinary meeting held on 21st August 2024, as I stated earlier, and approval was granted to proceed to the drafting and negotiation of the concession agreement based on the agreed terms of the heads of terms. The committee directed that Kenya Airports Authority should ensures the following before signing the concession agreement. And there are 5, which were highlighted. A, cabinet concurrence on the implementation of the project. B, undertaking a detailed stakeholder engagement to proactively consider their needs. C, undertaking a detailed due diligence exercise of the Adani Airport Holdings Limited in accordance with Section 27 of the Act. D, any material changes to the heads of terms should be referred back to the committee for approval. And finally, obtaining the legal clearance of the concession agreement in accordance with Section 62 of the PPP Act. The PPP committee also directed the following issues should be addressed in the concession agreement. A, include clear provisions for open book accounting to ensure optimal performance and full disclosure of the project accounts during audits and for calculation of government share of income. B, comprehensive review of the risk matrix to ensure that all risks are identified, appropriately allocated, and suitable mitigation measures are provided. C, the CAPEX schedule and development plan for refurbishment of existing terminal should be clearly defined. D, Kenya Airports Authority should ensure that current employees of JKIA are onboarded by the concessionaire on priority basis. And Mr. Chairman, I wanted to emphasize that. D, that Kenya Airports Authority should ensure that current employees of JKIA are onboarded by the concessionaire on priority basis and on better terms. Further, that the concessionaire gives preference to recruitment of Kenyan nationals in all positions. And I'm sure the honorable members would understand why I'm emphasizing the issue of JKIA employees, because it was very contentious. E, the drafting of the agreement should ensure that the concessionaire is incentivized to meet revenue and EBITDA, in short, targets within the current aeronautical and non-aeronautical charges, so that the project's implementation does not result in an immediate increase in aeronautical and non-aeronautical charges. Any increase of charges, therefore, thereafter, should follow the due process. Number F, there should be well articulated and defined as to how it fits within the concession. And finally, G, local content should be considered in accordance with Section 83 of the Act 2021. Kenya Airports Authority should seek guidance on this from the PPP Directorate. Attached here with, again, Mr. Chairman, is a copy of the decision letter under reference as stated there, which is dated 22nd August 2024. It is annexure S. This logical flow, Mr. Chairman, is in line with the law for this process. And Mr. Chairman, the law requires that the next steps will include the following. Now I'm going to the next steps. Actually, this number 1, Mr. Chairman, members will bear with me, was the most detailed. The others will be short. And I'm just almost coming to a close on the question number 1. Step number 14, Mr. Chairman, is approval by the Attorney General. After approval of the project agreement by the PPP committee, the contracting authority is required to submit the final project agreement to the Attorney General for clearance prior to execution. And that step takes, the step number 15, actually there is no clear separation between step number 14 and 15, because step number 15 states as follows: notification to cabinet. The contracting authority, Kenya Airports Authority, shall notify the cabinet of the committee's approval to enter into a project agreement with a successful bidder. I say that the two can be conducted concurrently because communication to cabinets is usually through cabinet memos, and there is no cabinet memo which would go to the cabinet without the signature of the Attorney General and that of the CS National Treasury. So Attorney General would be making the approval and at the same time aiding or facilitating the cabinet memo to the cabinet. Step number 16 is execution of project agreements, which is found under section 61 of the Act. So upon obtaining the approvals and furnishing the notifications under section 60, the contracting authority shall execute the project agreement with the private party. Mr. Chairman, it is important to note that in the Adani instance, the concession agreement is in the process of being drafted by the transaction advisors procured by the Kenya Airports Authority, after which the Government of Kenya Negotiation Committee will review and agree on the terms before negotiating with Adani Airports Holdings Limited. With regard to the application of section 44.5 and 44.6 of the PPP Act, there has thus far been no determination in this respect. So having outlined how Adani came in, Chairman and members, allow me now to proceed to the other questions in your letter to me, subject to this section.
I don't know, members, whether you would want to interrogate those steps, or first of all, we complete.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, ours will not take me maybe 5 to 8 minutes.
Okay, proceed.
So your question number 2, Chairman, was on the procurement method that the Public-Private Partnerships Directorate advised Kenya Airports Authority to use in undertaking the project. And there, Mr. Chairman, you will allow me, and that's why I'm making written submission, that there are 2 items highlighted there. But I want to add a third one, which will be now number 1. So number 1 in the list should be number 2, and number 2 becomes number 3. So if I'm allowed, I can proceed here. And I'm on Hansard, so I think it will be captured. So the procurement method, so the advice is as follows. So the Directorate advised the contracting authority on all procurement methods available under the Act. So that is a general one, that the the Directorate advised the contracting authorities on all procurement methods available under the Act. And therefore, 2, which was number 1 in the list, it is the responsibility of the contracting authority to determine the procurement method to be used for a particular PPP project. Number 3, which is number 2 in here in the written submission, is that the National Treasury received a PIP from the State Department for Transport on 1st of March 2024, and the process of finalizing the transaction is still ongoing. So the third question, Mr. Chairman, was the status of the PIP by Adani Airport Holdings Limited, and I respond as follows. 1, the project is at negotiation phase following approval by the committee at its 47th ordinary meeting held on 21st August 2024. The PPP committee directed the contracting authority as follows. A, obtain cabinet concurrence on the implementation of the project. B, undertake a detailed stakeholder engagement to proactively consider their needs for social acceptability for the project. And C, undertake a detailed due diligence exercise of the Adani Airport Holdings Limited in accordance with Section 27 of the PPP Act. D, ensure any material changes to the heads of terms should be referred back to the PPP committee for approval. And head of terms simply mean broad clauses that could be found in the agreement. Number E, which is the final one, obtain the legal clearance of the concession agreement in accordance with Section 60 subsection 2 of the Act. Number 2, a team comprising of Kenya Airports Authority, the State Department for Transport, the State Law Office, and the DPP Directorate of the National Treasury is currently in the process of undertaking a comprehensive due diligence exercise to establish the requisite capacity of Adani Airport Holdings Limited to undertake the project. And finally, number 3, Kenya Airports Authority and a number of other government institutions, including the National Treasury, is in the process of undertaking comprehensive due diligence exercise to establish the requisite capacity of Adani Airport Holdings Limited and stakeholder engagement of the project for social acceptance. Question number 4, Mr. Chairman. You asked about the due diligence undertaken under Section 27 and 41 of the PPP Act, Cap 430. Even though I've already addressed it in my comprehensive address to question number 1, where I was giving step-by-step, blow-by-blow details on how the whole thing was conducted, or the process was conducted, but I still will repeat. Number 1, the PPP Act 2021 requires due diligence to be undertaken at 2 levels, as provided in Section 41 and 27 of the Act. 2, Section 41 requires that a due diligence is conducted by the Directorate and then contracting authority to confirm the private party is not debarred, that I already mentioned, by any country or any international organizations from participating in PPPs or similar arrangement. B, is not corrupt. C, is not insolvent. D, is tax compliant. I think this should be compliant, not complaint. It's tax compliant in all jurisdictions in which it has local presence and its home country, and that it is not in default on payment of social security and employment benefits or contributions in its jurisdictions of operation and registration. And E, has not, and its directors or officers have not been convicted of any criminal offense. Number 3, Section 27. Section 27, on the other hand, requires that a comprehensive due diligence exercise is conducted by the contracting authority before signing the project agreement to establish the financial capacity of the private party to undertake the project, that is A. B, relevant experience of the private party in undertaking projects of similar nature. C, relevant technical expertise to undertake the project. D, and satisfied the legal, social, and environmental due diligence parameters prescribed by the Directorate. Number 4, the Evaluation Committee undertook a high-level due diligence in accordance with Section 41 of the Act, as highlighted in my response to question number 1 above, where they highlighted, I think, 22 issues. Now, number 5, the government is in the process of undertaking a comprehensive due diligence exercise in line with Section 27 of the Act to establish the requisite capacity of Adani Airport Holdings Limited to undertake the project. Now, question number 5, Mr. Chairman, you have asked for copies of PIP's expression of interest received from investors on development of airports since 2022. The scope of information available to my ministry in relation to this question is as follows. Number 1, the National Treasury was in copy, or is in copy. We have a copy of a PIP submitted to Kenya Airports Authority via a letter dated 25th April 2023. By Adani Airports Holdings Limited, which is attached as annexure number T. Number 2, via letter dated 9th June 2023, the National Treasury we have a letter requesting the State Department of Transport to forward concept notes for candidates PPP projects in the aviation sector. This was a prompting letter, because once we received the communication from KAA that Adani was interested in a PPP to develop the airport, it took a while. We gave time as Treasury. It took a while, and then we prompted the ministry. So via the letter, number 3, via a letter as reference, and which is dated 12th June 2023, informed the State Department of Transport acknowledging receipt of a PIP by Adani Airport Holdings Limited, and that Kenya Airports Authority is yet to formally submit the PIP and their preliminary appraisal. V. Number 4, the State Department for Transport, via a letter reference there, Mr. Chairman, but dated 29th June 2023, informed the National Treasury that Adani Airports Holdings Limited had on 27th April 2023 submitted a PIP to Kenya Airports Authority for a 30-year PPP concession for JKIA under a build, operate, and transfer arrangement. The letter further stated that the Kenya Airports Authority Board of Directors, in its 358th meeting held on the 16th of June 2023, noted the expression of interest for the PPP arrangements for JKIA and other airports as from the following companies. Number one is Almaya Group, Kenya, in December 2022 for Isiolo Airport. Number two, China Jiangxi International Economic and Technical Corporation in April 2023 for Wilson Airport. Number three, Terminal Holdings, Abu Dhabi in May 2023 for JKIA. Number four, China Roads and Bridge Corporation in May 2023 for JKIA. And number five, Motor Angel Africa Corporation, America, JV, in June 2023 for JKIA. Attached again herewith is a copy of the letter from the State Department for Transport, which is annexed at W. Number five, on August 24th, 2023, Kenya Airports Authority appeared before the PPP committee seeking guidance on how to prioritize the proposed concession for JKIA to a private investor for purposes of constructing a new terminal and rehabilitating the existing terminal under PPP arrangement. Between 25th August 2023 and 15th September 2023, Kenya Airports Authority engages ALG for provision of transaction advisory services, which is a firm. This ALG is a consultancy firm for provision of transaction advisory services for the development and expression of JKIA, annexure number X. Subsequently, that is number 7, the National Treasury, through a letter reference as indicated there, but dated 6th of September 2023, advised the State Department for Transport on 3 essential steps for competitive procurement and advised them to constitute the project development team and finalize the feasibility study within the timelines they had indicated. That's annexure Y. Now, this is number 8. And through a letter, through an email dated 8th November 2023, the Director General of PPP in the Directorate informed Kenya Airports Authority of the International Finance Corporation proposal to provide transaction advisory services for the proposed development and expansion of JKIA. Attached here with this again a copy of the email correspondent as annexure number Z. Now, number 9, through a letter dated 22nd November 2023, the State Department of Transport then wrote to the National Treasury, informing the National Treasury that Kenya Airports Authority is currently undertaking the feasibility study for the proposed project, and that the study will be finalized by December 2023. That is annexure AA. On 14th February 2024, ALG submit the interim feasibility study report to Kenya Airports Authority. Attached herewith is a copy of the interim report as annexure BB. Number 11, on 16th February 2024, ALG make presentation of the draft interim feasibility study report to Kenya Airports Authority, PPP Directorate and State Department for Transport. Again, I have attached here with a copy of the presentation as annexure number CC. Number 12 is the State Department of Transport through a letter, reference as indicated there, dated 19th February 2024, forwarded the feasibility study report to the National Treasury for construction of a new passage terminal at JKIA, annexure D. Subsequently, via letter reference as indicated, but dated 1st March, the State Department of Transport submitted a PIP by Adani Airport Holdings Limited, currently under assessment. That is annexure A and B as earlier cited. So this is the one that we dealt with earlier. And actually, that is the one that is the subject of this interrogation, Mr. Chairman. Number 14, subsequently, through a letter as referenced there and dated 1st March, the State Department of Transport submitted a PIP by Adani Airport Holdings Limited, currently under assessment. Again, I repeat, annexure A and B as earlier cited. Number 6, or question 6. The role of the PPP Directorate and PPP Committee in the PIP by Adani Airports Holdings. Mr. Chairman, the Directorate is established pursuant to Section 15 of the Act. The Directorate is one of the 5 directorates in the National Treasury, under the National Treasury and Economic Planning. Proposals submitted at the Treasury are reviewed by the technical teams within that directorate, jointly with the relevant contracting authority, before submission to the committee for approval. And the committee here is the PPP committee, or committee as defined in the Act. Number 2, the Directorate with respect to PPP project reports to the Public-Private Partnership Committee established pursuant to Section 6 of the PPP Act 2021 and comprises of the following members. These are members of the committee. The Principal Secretary, the National Treasury, who is the chairperson. The Principal Secretary, Economic Planning, also in the same committee, same ministry. The Principal Secretary, State Department for Roads. The Solicitor General. 2 persons nominated by Council of County Governors. 3 persons for not being public officers appointed by the notice in the Gazette by the Cabinet Secretary. And the Director General, who is a member and secretary of the committee. But the committee co-opts the Principal Secretary responsible for the contracting authority, whose PPP project is a subject of discussion at a meeting. So if the PS of the contracting authority is not one of the listed here, then it is required that he is co-opted. Number 15, Section 8 of the Act provides for the powers and functions of the committee as follows. A, formulating policies on PPP. B, overseeing the implementation of PPP contracts. C, approving standardized PPP documents. D, approving feasibility studies. E, approving privately initiated proposals. F, approving negotiated contract terms, the cancellation of procurements, or termination of and variation of project agreements. G, monitoring the implementation of the Act, including the sustainability, at least now this one is sustainability, of contingent liabilities that may be incurred by a contracting authority for projects approved under the Act. H, carrying out any other function that may be conferred on it under the Act. Number 16. The Directorate, in accordance with Section 42.6, 43.9, and 59.1 of the Acts, prepared detailed assessment reports on the privately initiated proposal, the project development report, and the negotiated documents, respectively, and made recommendations to the committee. Annexure E, M, and R previously cited. Number 17. The PPP committee, in line with its mandate, as provided in Section 42.8 and 43.11, approved the privately initiated proposal to move to the project development phase and the negotiation phase, respectively, subject to the satisfaction of specific conditions as detailed in the decisions letters of 1st March 2024, 9th May 2024, and the 22nd August 2024. Those annexures will be found in F, N, and S previously cited. Then question 7, which is the second last, is whether the PPP Directorate has approved any stage of the PIP by Adani Airport Holdings Limited without the approval of the PPP committee. The answer is as follows, Chairman. 1, the PPP Directorate has not approved any stage of the PIP by Adani Airport Holdings Limited without the approval of the committee. All approvals were sought through technical working papers that assessed the project and provided any potential issues, recommendations, and submitted to the committee, Annex E, M, and R previously cited. Number 2, all approvals were done by the committee, PPP committee, as evidenced in the decision letters of 1st March 2024, 9th May 2024, and 22nd August 2024. That is Annex for F, N, and S previously cited. Finally, Mr. Chairman, you asked me to provide a copy of the evaluation report of the PIP by Adani Airport Holdings Limited that was submitted to the PPP committee on 8th March 2024. Attached here with this evaluation report was submitted to the PPP committee at its 40th Extraordinary PPP committee meeting held on 13th March 2024. Annex C previously cited. Chairman, allow me just to say that the due diligence, which was supposed to be continuing under Section 27, is now on hold because the matter is in court. Chairman and members, I most sincerely thank you for your attention and patience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bwana CS. That was quite a comprehensive response. But I believe members who've listened very attentively.
PPP committee is the crux of the matter. So we are going to focus there. You have repeatedly referred to approval by the PPP committee, first at its meeting held on 13th March 2024, and then there is also reference to approval at a meeting of, ordinary meeting held on 3rd May 2024. I perused these documents at length. I do not see the minutes of these two meetings. Did you attach the minutes of the meetings of the PPP committee that you have referenced? Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair. Now, I want to address something you've also touched on your response. If you go to, Honorable Chair, if you go to section, I'm getting mixed up. CS, who is supposed to submit a PIP to the committee, the PPP committee?
That should be done by the directorate. Actually, the process is the contracting authority submits to the directorate.
Correct.
Which is at the National Treasury.
Now, you have attached a letter here that is signed by Mohamed Dagar, the Principal Secretary for Ministry of Roads. Is he the person who's supposed to be forwarding this PIP?
Now, the law says contracting authority.
Correct.
But contracting authority is domiciled, in this case, in that State Department. And the procedure in government is usually when you are communicating to another ministry, it comes through the parent ministry, the State Department. So there's nothing completely wrong. So long as you indicate that that's...
The contracting authority being KAA should be the one submitting the PIP because it is delivered to them. Now let's move on to something you've touched on about the membership of this PPP committee.
But Chair, with your indulgence, I think
Yes,
we need to sort out that. The contracting authority here is KAA.
Yes.
They receive PIP, they decided, and which there's nothing wrong, because the law does not, if the law is stating that they should not, then that's a different story. But so long as AAA has submitted the PIP to the line PS, and then the line PS submits it to Treasury, indicating that this is the PIP received by KAA. So I don't see any ambiguity there.
Chair, perhaps that is the view that Honorable Mbadi would want to have. I want to read you the law as it is, not as it ought to be. Section 40, subsection 4, the contracting authority, which is KAA, shall submit the privately initiated proposal to the Directorate for assessment and approval. I want to move on because I have very little time. Chair, you will understand why I'm asking this question. You spoke about the membership of the PPP committee. Honorable Chair, you have taken us through the members of that PPP committee. You will agree with me that, in fact, if you look at the letter of 1st March 2024, it is a letter originating from a member of the PPP committee to another member of the PPP committee. Isn't that the case, Honorable CS?
That is bound to happen because I've already said that even if he was not a member, he would be co-opted. So
just what the letter is saying, if it is coming from the CS for transport, the PS for transport, going to the PS Chris Kipto of National Treasury, those are both members of the PPP committee.
The transport PS is a co-opted member.
They are both members of the committee.
By virtue, is not a designated member as per the law, but the law says you co-opt the line PS. And so he is a member, co-opted member. He is communicating a PIP which was received by KAA. And by the way, KAA is the one that communicated to the PS.
Where is that correspondence in your documents?
That can be found, that we
Okay.
can touch.
Let's
yes.
move to Annexure D, which is the evaluation report. I want us to go to the evaluation report at Annexure D. Are we there, Honorable Mbadi? Are we there? Yes, so there is a summary of the due diligence that is found at page 6 of that report. It starts from page 6. Are we together?
You can proceed, I can see it.
So there is a table there, Honorable Mbadi, that sets out the parameter, the attribute, the indicators, and the remarks.
I think, Chair, maybe we are having different reports.
I am at Annexure D. This is the KA evaluation report of the PIP by Adani Airport Holdings.
Hold a bit, we get it.
Chair, I hope you'll not accuse me of taking too much time. It's the witness.
Noted.
I think we are together now. You can proceed.
We are together.
Summary of the due diligence.
Yes, you can see the parameter, the attribute, the indicators, and the remarks. I want you to go to the parameter on debarment, where you are required to have confirmation or verification to ensure that neither the proponent nor its affiliates are listed on either the World Bank and PPRA list of ineligible firms and individuals for engagement in procurement. You can see that. And on the remarks, it says they provided a sworn notarized declaration. Is that reference to a self-declaration by Adani themselves? So they did not provide anything other than what they swore themselves. Is that correct? I need you to be on record, Honorable CS, because you know this is answered.
Chair, I thought the member would just ask the question, then I respond. Because
You are not responding. I have asked you're
is that
nodding
the
your
way
head.
it should be conducted, Chairman?
Yes, sometimes we take that route, so it's okay.
It's a very tedious route, but go ahead. Yes, I can see.
Honorable Chair, this is an acceptable comment from the Honorable CS. We sat here and listened to you, take us through for 1 hour. It was extremely tedious, and we did not complain. So if you answer my questions, we will move quickly and get out of here as soon as possible. So you can see that it was a self-declaration, not the standard expected by the Act. Let's go to the question on corrupt practices.
But Chair, with all due respect, why do you say it is not accepted by the Act? Can you cite the Act?
You have said...
You know that you want me to be saying yes or no. I don't agree with that. So can you go to the Act and cite that for me?
Honorable Mbadi,
Yes.
you are required to provide confirmation that none of these people are listed on World Bank and PPRA list of ineligible firms. Surely that does not mean that they can tell you themselves that we are not listed. That is not the standard. Secondly, on corrupt practices, they have also provided a notarized declaration. That is a sworn affidavit.
So can I just respond?
Yes.
I have clear information that even though they did this sworn affidavit, it was confirmed through checking the website of World Bank to confirm the same. So if you want me to state that on record, I'm stating that that was checked and was found.
It is not in this report by KA.
Well, you don't have to put everything on report, but I'm just reporting. That's why.
It's okay.
Pardon?
Let's move on because I have very limited
What I'm
time.
saying,
Through you, Chair.
you know, I'm under oath.
Just through you, Chair. I mean, what is our brother? What has just happened to you? What are you saying? That they don't have to do that? That is exactly the crux of the matter of Adani. That is it, Bo John. If you don't see it, then we're wasting our time here.
So I'm also reporting to you, Honorable Nyong'o. You can have your opinion. My opinion is this. I'm under oath, and I'm stating as follows. The evaluation committee did check the World Bank sites and confirmed that that is the case.
Through you, Chair, can I respond?
Chair,
In,
Chair,
this,
my time
in,
is
in the report here, that statement is made is propaganda.
over the page. The law again, CS, is that they are supposed to confirm that they are not subject to any current legal proceedings. That is over the page on the parameter of insolvency. Do you see that, Honorable Chair, Honorable CS? CS, if you nod
That is, you are asking about the criminal conviction?
No.
Which one?
The parameter is insolvency.
Yes,
they
I
are
can see.
supposed to confirm that they have not been suspended and is not subject to any current legal proceedings.
Correct.
Correct. Now, what did they provide in the column for indicators?
Provided a sworn affidavit,
No.
financial statements, as at 31st March 2023.
You are reading
2022,
a totally different document.
Which one?
The document I have says they provided audited financial statements. There's no mention of an affidavit.
I am mentioning it because I'm under oath. And I want to, so that I make your work easy, Senator Sifuna, because you will ask me. I am telling you that this audited financial statement as of 31st March 2023 was provided under a sworn affidavit. If you want evidence of that, we can provide.
Honorable Mbadi, you're a CPA, I'm a lawyer. You know for a fact that whether somebody has live criminal or civil proceedings going on is not contained in financial statements. There has to be something else to confirm that there doesn't exist any litigation.
You
Yes
see,
or no?
what was the indicator? The indicator was proponent to provide audited financial statements.
No.
That is what I have in the sheet. Can you
Honorable
just
Mbadi,
read? Just
under-
go back.
under the
Honorable
law-
Sifuna, Chair, please.
Under
Let's
the law,
read.
Honorable
You are
Mbadi,
reading
allow
under
me
the
to,
law.
allow
And
me
I'm
to put
reading
the
for you my
question.
documents.
Can
Allow
Can
me
you
to
read
put
my
the question.
documents?
Let's direct
I'm reading your document.
Senator Sifuna and
So, Chair, what do you have under indicators?
let's direct your conversation through the chair.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Chair, just
we are on
allow
page
me to
7.
read. Yes.
Can you read the indicators?
Honorable
on
Chair,
number 7.
amend his own documents.
Read that part
It
you're referring
says,
to.
parameters, and it is in the law, is you need to confirm that it is not, the entity is not subject to any current legal proceedings. That is not something that can be found in financial statements.
So,
So,
where
Chair,
did you get the indicators from?
Chair, we have three items here. There is insolvency, tax compliant, and criminal conviction. Now, under insolvency, attribute is not insolvent, under receivership or bankrupt, and its affairs are not being administered by a court or judicial officer. Its business activities have not been suspended, and it is not subject to any current legal proceedings.
Correct.
Under indicators, the proponent to provide audited financial statements. Yeah, that's the second column. And then that is why the financial statements were provided.
That's why
But
I'm saying, CS, it is not the requirement, the required document to demonstrate that people have no litigation cannot be the financial statements. Let me move on to the tax compliance engagement. Is it the position that Adani only operates in India?
Chair, I may not know how many countries Adani operates in, but
Okay.
I know that the mother of the parent country, where tax compliance is domiciled, is India.
But the requirement of the law is that you declare in all jurisdictions in which it has local tax
Yes,
presence.
that is what is in the law.
Okay, let me move very quickly, Honorable Chair, to page 21. Actually, 22, Honorable Chair. I wanted to ask the CS under the special purpose vehicle. Chair, the CS needs to listen to the question so that he doesn't answer his own questions.
Yeah,
You're on page?
Chair, I think that's not fair to me. Have I been answering my own questions?
No, when I'm going to ask the question, I can see you
No, you
engage
just,
in another conversation.
you can't be
Maybe
able
the
to
CS
determine
can
my
multitask,
capacity.
yeah?
I know the CS, Honorable Chair.
You
I
can't
mean,
be able to determine
I know
my
he cannot
capacity to
multitask.
listen.
I know him
Just go
personally.
ahead.
Ask your question.
Yes, under the special purpose vehicle provision there, you will see that there is a requirement you clear, that the proponent should clear the nexus between Adani Airport Holding Limited and Abu Dhabi Consortium Company. That is at page 37 of the PIP. CS, can you confirm whether that has been done?
Chair, I think let us not mix issues here. This was a recommendation for detailed due diligence, which is still ongoing.
Correct.
So that will be determined later.
So you're saying it has not been done?
It has not been done.
Okay.
Or if it has been done, it has not been communicated to the National Treasury.
Now, there was a discussion also, Chair, on the question of employment, and this is at page 27 of the same document. Your counterpart from Treasury was here, not Treasury, from Transport, and he told this committee that all current employees of KA will be offered an opportunity to work once Adani take over the airport. If you read at page 27 on employees, it talks about the proponent proposes to offer employment to a mutually agreed percentage of current employees of the contracting authority on terms and conditions as provided in the concession agreement. What percentage were they proposing, if you're aware? What percentage are they saying they can absorb?
I'm trying to get part of my answer to that question because I've read it earlier. Even though that was what was offered by the proponent, I may not have the percentages, but the recommendation from committee was very clear.
Yeah, I'm talking about their proposal. What were they proposing?
That was proposal of Adani.
What were they proposing? What percentage?
I can't be able to yeah, so the percentage they were taking, I may need to cross-check in their proposal. It might be in the proposal document, which we have here.
Very well.
But one thing that I want to be clear on is that was their proposal, but the recommendation of the committee is totally different. The committee is recommending as follows, that the Kenya Airports Authority should ensure that current employees of JKIA are onboarded by the concessionaire on priority basis.
Very well. You have said you don't know what percentage you are proposing. In the final question on this document, Chair, is that therefore, CS, the conclusion that is found at, this page is not numbered, but I suppose it's page 30. There are conclusions and recommendations there, and the conclusion is that the proponent has provided all documentation in accordance with the requirements of Section 41 of the PPP Act 2021. That conclusion and recommendation cannot be true, Honorable CS, after what we have gone through. There are gaps in the documentation.
Chair, I agree that there are gaps, and those gaps clearly have enumerated. The first one was 22, there are 19. Those are all documented. The PPP committee made recommendation that before we go to the project development phase, then these are supposed to be provided. So they are properly documented. And by the way, the committee will not approve the project, the process will not proceed to conclusion until and unless those conditions are met.
Okay, then you spoke about a PPE. Referred to these recommendations of the PPP Directorate, because they are important, Honorable Chair, you will notice that first, they are unsigned. They are unsigned, Honorable CS. Is it possible for recommendations of a PPP Directorate to take the form that you have brought before this House? And Annex Chair E.
Mr. Chairman, maybe these are technical working papers, the way I understand it. And it was submitted to the committee. And so once it is submitted, then a decision is taken and they're adopted. But if you want the directorate, if it's a requirement, then you can ask the directorate to confirm the same. But these are information from the directorate, so I don't see why they should.
If you were to encounter that document, Honorable C.S. Mbadi, in your office, it is not on letterhead, it is not signed by anyone, and then somebody tells you these are the recommendations of the PPP Directorate. Would you accept that standard?
You know, if I encounter documents anyhow in my office, I would not treat them seriously.
Thank you. I'm
So
not treating this one seriously as well.
I only treat seriously a document
Yeah.
that someone can own.
Honorable Chair, let me move to something he said about the powers of this PPP committee. Honorable CS, you read to us the law again on PPP, the decision approving a PIP, right? That is the law. The law you read us. Are you aware whether the decision of the PPP committee is subject to appeal or direction from any other quarters? Under the law?
I haven't seen that in the law. I have read the law. I've not seen where it can be appealed, but you may cite.
Can a procuring entity direct the PPP on what to do? The PPP committee?
This peace committee is supposed to work independently.
Very well. So
Yes.
you have attached a letter here and an extra L, and I want you to go with me there. There's a letter and an extra L. It's actually a memo. This memo is originating from Henry Ogoe, who was here before this committee. He's the acting managing director of KA, the procuring entity. It is addressed to the chairperson, PIP Evaluation Committee. Honorable Mbadi, please read for us the last paragraph on that letter.
You are therefore directed to reconvene the committee sittings and amend the report accordingly.
Do you think that is proper for the procuring entity to be directing the PIP committee to reconvene so that they can amend their report?
Yeah, I don't think this letter was to the PPP committee.
What does it say at the top?
This is chairperson of the PIP Evaluation Committee,
You don't see any problem
which is
with
a
that?
technical body, basically from KAA. It's actually the KAA which is leading it with the directorate. It's not a directive to the committee, as you had earlier indicated.
Okay. Let's see what the committee recommends under Annexure M. Honorable Chair, Annexure M, there is a recommendations of the PPP Directorate. I don't know if we're together, Chair, or I'm moving too fast. PPP Committee Technical Working Paper on the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. Now, at page 9, there is a recommendation at the bottom there, Honorable Mbadi. I wish that you read it for the committee as well.
Page?
Page 9 of that report,
Yeah, I can read.
paragraph 6.
Let me read it. The Evaluation Committee made recommendations which the PPP Directorate endorses and conveys.
You are reading the wrong document.
Okay.
There is Annexure M. Annexure M.
So which document do you have? Could you kindly read it? Because, so that we don't go back and forth. Is it not, because you said paragraph 6, recommendations of the
Honorable
PPP.
Mbadi, this is your own document.
Which page?
I'm going by the way you filed them. It's
Exactly,
Annexure
that's-
M on my file.
Which
Annexure
page?
M on my file at page 9.
Chair, let me read what I have. If you have another one, you can read it, Senator Sifuna, so that we can know which one is the correct one.
Read yours.
Recommendations of the PPP Directorate. Okay. My apologies, I think we got a wrong one.
Now you are accusing me of reading my own things. Yes, you are the one reading the wrong things.
You see, Senator Sifuna, when
Probably.
these documents are many and bulky.
But you went
So
ahead to
let's-
accuse me of reading the wrong
let us
documents.
stay
I am
focused.
using your bundle. These
Let us
documents
just-
came
let
from
me
you.
just stay focused and read what you wanted me to read. I think we don't have luxury of time. In several respects, as detailed in the observations above, the feasibility study report submitted by the proponent has not fully satisfied the evaluation criteria of project feasibility and affordability. The
you.
evaluation committee made recommendations which the PPP Directorate endorses and conveys to the PPPC.
Thank you. I just needed you to cover that part under the recommendations, which has called out that the proponent has not fully satisfied the evaluation criteria of the project. Chair, allow me to conclude because I know that the last annex, Chair, actually, Chair, I think it's, this one is XYZ, the last one. There is a letter dated 11th March 2024. It originated from Christopher Kirigwa, the Director General of Public-Private Partnerships, to the Honorable Solicitor General, Shadrach Mose. I wanted confirmation that there was a response to that letter. Did the Solicitor General nominate a state council as per the request of the PPP Directorate?
Yeah, we could have Kirigwa is here. If he got a response, he could just respond to that so that I don't have to deliver the point.
It's okay. You can delegate for that response.
Thank you, Chair. Senator Sifuna, I confirm, Honorable, we did receive a response and he nominated individuals.
Where is that response?
Honorable, I'll check if we have it here, but I'll try within the course of this meeting, we'll share it with you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So it's not here? It's fine.
It's not here, you're right.
Chair, I yield it back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Sifuna. On the evaluation report, you indicated that you were only concerned with the mother country, that is India. Yet in your response, page 3, you quoted the act that said you needed to check due diligence on the private party under Section 41 of the PPP Act is conducted by the Directorate and the contracting authority to confirm that the private party is not debarred by any country or any international organization from participating in PPPs or similar arrangement. So is it your word that you only concentrated on India?
Chair, let me make it clear. Number one, that there is World Bank sites where you can get this information. That was checked. 2, the proponent provided what we call notarized documents by external counsel. So if you have all that, and they are supporting, and this at this stage, Chair, I want us to also be very clear. There are 2 due diligence that need to be done. The first one is a preliminary due diligence, which is high level. And then there will now be a detailed due diligence under Section 7, which is now going on. So not all due diligence would be done at that stage. There is due diligence that you do to give way and give room to the next. That is why there are timelines. Some of the timelines are very short, by the way. So, Chair, I want to say that this process is ongoing. As a matter of fact, if it went to conclusion, the Senate would now be investigating a matter that has all the facts presented. But as it is, there are certain aspects of it that could still be ongoing.
And I know you're new in the department, but also from your documentation, this PIP came in April 2023. But it was only acted upon in March 2024. And it took 10 days even to have an evaluation report. Are you not reading something that's not correct with that process?
I'm not. In fact, Mr. Chairman, I've really taken my time, and also as an auditor, I really read this act. The proposal that was submitted in 2023 did not proceed further. And there could be many reasons. In fact, this project of procurement is a very interesting one, PIP. If you don't comply, then it just stops. And you can resubmit again. So the one that we are dealing with, Chair, is the one for March 1st, 2024. The one for 2023, April, did not proceed. And there were other interested parties which, instead of bringing a PIP proposal, as is expected by law, brought expressions of interest. And there is nowhere in the law where it is provided that you proceed with the expression of interest. I've had questions asked that there are other people who are interested. There is no PIP on JKIA.
A point of order,
Those
Chair.
were expressions of interest.
Point of order, Chair. I think the CS is misleading the committee. You yourself have listed the procurement methods that are allowed under the PPP Act. In your own response, you have said competitive bidding is a way of procurement under this act. Why are you ruling out expression of interest? It's a competitive bidding process.
But, Chair, I was responding to PIP. We have 3 methods. The contracting authority can choose any. 4 methods. The contracting authority can choose any. I'm not ruling out expression of interest.
Chairman, that is where the problem is. It cannot make sense that it is up to the procuring entity to determine which process it will going to use. So CS Mbadi, when did, because the CS for transport was in the Senate in 2023, and he told us publicly that the policy of government was to float an expression of interest, international one, for the development of JKIA. When did that policy change? Because you cannot tell us that you leave it to the procuring entity to determine PIP, and yet PIP, by its own nature, is supposed to be unsolicited. So if KA secretly decide that we're only going through privately initiated proposals, how do they just sit in the dark and wait for people to initiate proposals? That does not make any sense.
Chair, unfortunately, that is the law. You see, let me go back.
That's not the law.
Chair,
That's not the law.
Let me just go
Let
back.
the CS explain.
It's a point of area of PPP, honorable members. It's a new area. That is why we came up with a law in 2021. And if you look at the act, I wish I had that act. Where is it? If you look at the law, it's here with me. If you look at the law, under section 4(2), it says, the provisions of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015 shall not apply to a public-private partnership. It goes even ahead to say that, under subsection 5, where there is a conflict between the provisions of this act and the provisions of any other written law, the provisions of this act shall prevail. This is still a very new, nascent area, if you ask me. And it is something that may not take the conventional route. In fact, I was looking at the procurement methods provided and wondering, how come it starts with direct procurement? If you look at the 4, the first one is direct procurement, the second one is PIP, then the third one is now competitive bidding, and the last one is restrictive. And the law does not say that the most preferred is competitive. This is a PPP, private individuals with their money coming to invest
Point of
in our
order,
country.
Chair. Point of
It
order,
is
Chair.
not something that you
I would
subject
like-
your own thinking. I'm stating the law.
This,
I
Chair,
think Senator Onyoka, being the person who
Chair,
questioned
thank you.
this statement.
I wanted to literally ask my brother John Mbadi that Treasury, boss, if you were to borrow money under any auspices for your country, what would you negotiate for? Value for money, straight bidding, reasonable expectation, public participation. Do I need to go through those things? Let me come to my questions. Chair, thank you for giving me the opportunity. If we go back to the Hansard, I wanted to ask CS John Mbadi, if you go to the Hansard, the CS Honorable Chirchir, when we asked him, and I would want this question to be answered by your DG if possible, but that's up to you. Were there any other companies that actually made an offer over this or inquired about this transaction that you gave to Adani, other than Adani? Because when I look at this document you've given here, you could have actually thought this report was being written by Adani, the figures are being put in by Adani. Of course, Your Excellency John, you were not there, but you would think all these guys who work for the PPP were Adani employees. By the way, have any of you gone to India recently? So those are 2 questions you can answer.
Waziri?
Let me respond. Let me ask Kiregwa first, because you wanted him to respond. I don't want to appear like I'm gagging him and maybe concealing any information. Once it's done, maybe I'll add what I wanted to say. Go ahead.
DG?
Thank you, Senator. Through our submission, Senator, we have expressions of interest on the letter of 2023 that indicated the companies that had expressed interest. Adani had also expressed interest in April 2023. However, Honorable Member, let me clarify on that. That proposal was never sent to us at the Treasury. The only proposal that was sent to us at the Treasury was the March 1st, 2024 proposal by Adani. And thereafter, Adani did make payment for the PIP.
Thank you. Could I ask you a following, through you, Chair? Do you have any correspondence from the people who actually showed interest in this work?
Chair, through the Chair, the only correspondence we do have is one, the Adani proposal that was sent to us in April 2023. We were in copy of that.
Thank you. So, you don't have any other company that you think was interested of in file the documents to make an inquiry, to ask the Kenya Airports Authority whether there was need for the authority to provide services for them to go and check at the port in Mombasa, go to Eldoret? You have no letter like that?
Chair, through the Chair, I'll refer to you to the exact letter.
Other than Adani requesting to do this project?
The answer is no, Chair.
Thank you. Chair, I would like to table, I have 3 letters which were written by 2 different companies. Adani was the 3rd one. The follow-up question I would like to ask, Chair, after I've tabled this.
Can you table that?
I will. After I've tabled this, is this. Did you correspond to any other company because they have your stamps, their documents were received? Did you write back to either express disappointment or tell them they had not qualified for this transaction?
The clerk can assist to get the document.
Yeah, the clerk, you can come, I give you this, and you can show them to them.
So that we can also...
And Chair, I would like in a very, very fast way, I'm going to read this letter. One is from a company called GMR. It's actually a company from India. All right? And Chair, I never solicited these documents. It's the public who have been sending, I think, the owners of these companies. They say submission of expression of interest, letter of interest for exploring the development management operations of Jomo Kenyatta Airline. This dated the 16th of November 2022. The next letter, and I will table this, the other company is called Nexus Logic. This is an American company that required security provision requesting for the executives from a Corporation America Airports Authority, which is called CAAP, and a company called Nexus Logic. They wanted to come to Jomo Kenyatta Airport on the Wednesday, 10th of July, 2024. Then they wanted to come to the Mombasa International Airport, and they were going to Kisumu and Eldoret. And this letter is here. It's received by your office, and I have that. And I would also like to table you the letter from Adani, which is written on the 31st of March, 2024. So I would like to table, Chair.
Clerk?
The letters, could I just confirm, Chair, the letters were addressed to who?
The first letter is addressed to Hon, the Principal Secretary, Minister of Transport, Infrastructure, Transcom House, Ngong Road. That's the first one from GMR. The second letter is addressed to the Chief Executive Officer, Kenya Airports Authority, and they even say it was hand-delivered. The second letter was actually to the Managing Director, Kenya Airports Authority in Nairobi, Kenya, and all these documents were received and stamped by your office.
So can I just respond, Chair? First, we have been talking about who are they addressed to? Chairman, can I go ahead and
say? Respond.
Chair, we have been talking about the law here. PIP process is a process. You address the proposal to the authority. If you write to President Ruto, that cannot be a PIP proposal. It cannot go anywhere. So the first letter was addressed.
Chair, can I respond?
The first letter, I'm just giving...
CS is wasting our time.
Let him finish.
You are equally also maybe wasting my time.
Oh, there's nothing we are
Senator,
discussing, John.
please, let's respect each other.
Allow the CS to
If you ask
finish.
me a question, I've come here, this is a matter of national importance, for heaven's sake. Let us be
The
decorum.
reason,
Let's
yes,
have
the
decorum
reason why
between
I
the
am
both of
reacting
us.
to you the way I am is because you've not even seen the
I have
letter.
not come
And
here.
you're busy responding. Stop
I've
gatekeeping.
come here.
These things you
Senator,
can't gatekeep
I am
anymore.
not gatekeeping.
Stop gatekeeping.
And please,
we must
also
deal with this
respect-
issue nationally. It's a
If you
national
invited
important
me here to
issue.
supply information, wait for the information. If you
Order.
don't need it, Kenyans need it.
Proceed. Chair.
Order, Senator Onyonka.
Kenyans need the information.
let's
And
give
I'm
the
giving to
CS
you.
time.
Chair, Honorable CS, now you are heckling. You are out of order.
You are equally heckling
But
me.
this is the tradition of ODM to heckle.
You are out of
Chair.
order. Chair.
Chair.
Yeah,
Chair,
Can we also
Chair.
Chair, you cannot
Chair,
allow monopoly of members to only ask questions. Can we also ask?
No, this is on a
Yeah.
point of order. This is on a point of order, Honorable.
Senator Sifuna.
Yes.
Point of
Senator
order.
Sifuna.
Honorable Chair, the CS must learn to respect Parliament.
not the tradition
Even
of
when he
ODM.
was in this House, members of the executive never
tradition
used to
of,
speak to you the way you are speaking to us.
Mbadi himself.
We defer to you because you are a former colleague, but you cannot behave the way that you are behaving.
If
Honorable
we-
Chair, just a minute. Honorable Chair,
Yes.
if the CS is tired of answering questions by the representatives of the people, let him tell us. Let him tell us. He can walk out and come back on a day that he feels his temperament is something that is befitting of a cabinet secretary of the Republic of Kenya. This is Parliament. We are not here to be nice to each other. You are saying you are giving answers to the public. Those public don't ask you those questions anymore. They ask us. We are the ones elected by the public. So, Honorable Chair, I think the CS must apologize for throwing a tantrum here. Yet we are here on serious business to be able to find answers to the questions of the public that we
Senator,
represent.
to be fair to the CS, because he came here.
Let him not behave like it's a favor for CS to appear before cabinet, before Parliament.
If we avoid unnecessary interjections and give each other time.
CS. And again, I want to ask your friend who is the DG. There was a section when Honorable Sifuna was expressing the matrix under which when you are doing the evaluation. Do you remember the section where we are talking about whether this company has been involved in corruption, whether it has been taken to court? You've seen that? Did you find out what the historical record of Adani is? That will be a question to you. And then, Chair, my last question that I will ask will be to the CS. So please, CS, I want it, or you can also answer if you're comfortable. So the last question I want to ask out of the list of my questions, if you look at the section where you are actually again interrogating the issue of due diligence, I have information that if you look at who the ownership of Adani is, you actually cannot know who the owners are. All right? There's information that the Sultanate of Abu Dhabi has got shareholdings to Adani, and there is also the issue that the Indian Prime Minister Honorable Modi actually controls 58% of the Adani empire. Do you have any such information or not? And then conclusively, I wanted to ask my last question, Chair. I hope somebody is jotting down those questions. There is an amount of money that the government of Kenya, when you were sitting and discussing under the IPP agreement, that $48 million will be given to the government. Explain to us how you arrived at that figure. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chair.
Buenos días.
Thank you. The Senate with a condescending attitude. I am very respectful to the Senate. I know that you have a constitutional mandate to hold the government to account, including my office. And the only concern that I have is, Chair, when the Honorable Senator Sifuna started, I asked whether I should just wait, he finishes his questions, and I respond. And I was told, no, I could continuously respond as matters come by. Now, when it comes to Senator Nyonga, it changed, and I didn't know at what point it actually changed. And so I thought I should address the issue that was raised to me. Now, Chair, in terms of due diligence, I want to again repeat, there are two levels of due diligence. The first one is high level, where you just look at a few indicators, and that is the indicators as were shown. We are at the phase of a detailed due diligence process. If we could just allow the process to be concluded, then some of the questions that we have would perfectly be answered. And again, Chair, I want to just address on this the issue of Senator Onyonga. I don't think those letters you read to us were copied to the Directorate. If they were addressed to any other person, it is the responsibility of the contracting authority to forward.
Point of order, Chair.
Formally.
Point of order, Chair. If you look at those letters, they are received at the office of KAA.
Just for clarity,
Yes.
because that's
but
what
you see, if it is received,
the letters are received by KAA. Don't lie to the public.
Let me guide. And that's why I was asking for these letters.
Yes.
There are 3 letters, and it's only received at Kenya Airports Authority, and they're not here. That is one for Nexus Logic.
With the ministry. That's what he said.
Yes, and that's what I'm trying to guide.
He cannot run away when it is inconvenient and say we have not seen it.
And Chair, because I hear you saying that what is not there in those letters.
No. I just want you
to question.
Listen, I'm guiding you. If it is received by KAA, KAA is domiciled at the Transportation Department. We have the Treasury here, and we have the PPP. It's good to be fair to the CAs so that they answer the right questions. Your question, nothing stops this committee from inviting the KAA again and the PS Transport to come and answer on this. So we admit this, and then we admit this.
Excuse me, Chair. The reason why we called my brother John Mbadi to come here is because the Minister of Transport had already lied under oath. He said there were no letters. So we have the letters. We are tabling them, Chair. Please, Chair. Serve Kenyans well. They'll respect you for many years. The reason why those letters are there is because we must interrogate how did Adani come to Kenya and how did they start what they're doing.
And I agree with you.
And I've not asked you about Adani with Ketrako, Adani with Chief, and I've not gone there.
And I agree with you.
How did one company take 7 state corporations and is running roughshod over everybody, and every government officer who's coming here is defending them and not giving us answers at how it happened?
Chair,
to help that is why this committee is here today.
To help Senator Onyonka, I think what has been demonstrated by those letters is that not every PIP proposal or communication on redevelopment of JKIA left Kenya Airports Authority.
Yeah, true.
So the ministry can confirm, at least the PPP secretariat is here and the Ministry of Treasury is here, let them confirm that the only communication that has come from the procuring entity called KAA is with regards to Adani. So that we draw our own conclusions during report writing that there is somebody at KAA who determines what to forward for evaluation by PPP and which ones do not go to
You've
evaluation.
got my point.
That's all they need to confirm.
Yes.
Let them confirm.
Chair, maybe my presentation was only PIP proposal received procedurally at the Directorate was the one of Adani of 1st March. In fact, I even mentioned there was an earlier one of 2023. It was not procedurally brought to our attention. We have only come to know about other expressions of interest through a letter. There's no any other proposal. And if there is, and by the way, the law is clear. You go to the contracting authority with PIP. But I want to ask Chris, there is no information, as far as I'm concerned, Chairman, that we are holding. And that is why we have documented all the other expressions of interest from 2023 to date. And we are not gatekeeping for anyone. I have no reason to gatekeep. So I would want to ask Chris, please, and again, inform this committee whether you are aware of shareholding of Adani, whether Prime Minister Modi has 58% of shares, or 68, or 100, and this one from UAE. With your permission, Chair, could I ask the Director General?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. Yes, the PPP Directorate had one representative who went to India for the due diligence exercise, which is not yet concluded.
Chair, could I stop him right there?
Allow him to finish.
Because of point of
Be
information.
patient, Senator.
Oh, thank you.
Allow him to finish.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This Adani proposition. Secondly, matters of corruption and matters of the history of Adani. Adani did make a formal submission, which was notarized by their attorneys. They gave a confirmation about corrupt practices, and also, as a treasury, we did look at the World Bank debarred list, and we confirmed at the evaluation stage they were not on that list. Honorable Chair, we also confirmed this morning that they were still not on that list. That's Adani Airport Holdings. So we do confirm that. Chair, there's also a matter that has come in about the documents received by on the airport concession. Chair, I'd like to confirm a few things. We did see, I've seen the document that the honorable member has indicated. The one from they're called GT, I think GTR.
GMR.
GMR, yeah. Yeah, so I confirm this. We were not in copy of that document. That document was never sent to us as the Treasury. We've also seen the document, the only document that came to us is a PIP proposal that was sent to us on 1st of March 2024 and the one of April 2023. The one of April 2023, we were only in copy. I submit.
So your question is answered, Senator Sifuna, on the issue KAA chooses what to forward and not to forward. That is something that as a committee we have to discuss in our next meeting, but you can ask your question, sir.
Chair, just from the GMR proposal, we actually saw it on social media. We did not see it based on a formal submission. I submit.
Chair,
Right.
for just a second, I would want him to produce to this committee the delivery books and all the delivery books which they received during that period, so that we can run through and make sure that that letter was actually delivered. And the next action, which didn't take place, Chair, is that once they got those letters and they had picked on Adani, they decided to ignore everybody else who had an interest and picked one horse, and that's what they're running with. Thank you, Chair. And I would like him to explain what they actually did in India. You remember I asked the question? There's something I know, Chair, a little bit. I'll say it later.
Chair, there was the shareholding of the company. So
Can I just repeat again? Because it should be very clear. What is the role of National Treasury in all this? Is Directorate, the PPP Directorate. Have we received any other PIP proposal on JKIA? Apart from Adani, the answer is no. I want to repeat on record, no. If there is any document you have there, or anybody has, that document is not with us. It was not procedurally submitted to the Directorate. I want to be very clear. As to whether anybody from Treasury went to India, yes. There is one officer who, alongside representation from KAA and the Ministry of Transport, went to India for due diligence. And that is the assignment they were given. And that process is still ongoing.
The issue of shareholding?
Chris Krieger can respond. Actually, I asked you specifically to talk about any information you have about the shareholding of Adani.
Thank you, Chair. The document we had on the shareholding of Adani, it was 100 shares were owned by Adani Enterprise Limited. There were Mr. Pravan Adani, who held one share. Karan Adani, who held one share. Pritesh Shah, one share. Kruthath Thaka, one share. Damesh Desai, one share. And Ashish Shah, one share, which holds a total of 350,250,000. This is what was submitted to us, Chair, during the the evaluation stage. This was a notarized document provided by Kenya Airports Authority, by Adani. I mean, through Kenya Airports Authority. I submit.
All right. You cannot rely on the entity itself to propose, to tell you these things. This is what we were protesting, Honorable Chair, about this self-declaration. There exists mechanism of independent ascertainment. Has that been done? And then the DG is aware that they had proposed that in the first 2 years after the effective date, that they should be allowed to change shareholding. It is there in the proposal. Honestly, what are we doing?
And Chair, I will not tire from repeating. That's why I'm saying we have 2 levels of due diligence. The detailed due diligence, where you will get all those facts, and it is good it is now being conducted now and not then, because then you would be very clear on the shareholding of this entity. Why can't we just allow the process to conclude? The process is ongoing. Section 27, Honorable Sifuna, being a lawyer, I know you are very strict to legal provisions. I have mentioned 2 sections, Section 41 and 27. 41 is due diligence at that high level. There is Section 27. The process is ongoing.
Honorable Mbadi, you and I agreed a long time that when it comes to matters of finance, I will not question your judgment. I wish you remember that you also gave me an undertaking that when it comes to law, you will defer to my knowledge on the law. Honorable Mbadi, I know these days you don't attend social functions, but surely if your son tells you they want to marry somebody, the first thing you do is to find out which family that person comes from. Who's the mother of this child? Who's the father of this child? You cannot tell us that you will be auditing that ownership after the marriage has already been consummated and you find your son has married from a witch doctor's family. Surely.
Chair, and I agree. And by the way, that was an agreement some time back when we used to lead a very serious party together. But let me just put it up this way, that I respect Sifuna in matters law. He respects me on matters finance. The predicament we find ourselves in is we are dealing with a mongrel of both law and finance. And in that case, we just need to respect each other and guide each other systematically. Let me put it this way. The due diligence at that level, Honorable Sifuna, is what led us to see the share ownership that has just been read. Now, if you want now to go to the details and audit and find out what is the actual ownership verified, then you move to the next level, where we are. Section 27.
Okay. Before I give a friend of the committee, I have a member of the committee who want to ask a question. So yeah, things are changing very fast. Yeah, so Vice Chair.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, any way or any other process that is of public interest. Chair, I would ask the CS this. Now that, from what has been tabled, at least I have seen one letter, the one by a company called Nexus something, that one was received by KAA. And now that there is evidence that there was no full disclosure by the contracting authority, that is KAA, are you then, as Treasury and the PPP Directorate, ready to open up this process for competitive bidding, now that it's not only Adani that has shown interest in this whole thing, considering the issues that have already been raised about Adani? That is one. Chair, I also needed to know, where are we in this process, or what stage at the moment? And Chair, number 3, also knowing CS Mbadi very well, that he's a man who will only do what will be of value to Kenyans, that there'll be value for money. I'm sure you are, undertaking, a process to know that there are other interested parties who will do the JKIA airport on less money, than what is being offered by Adani. One of the examples I will give you is that Qatar Airways at the moment is building a more sophisticated international airport at Rwanda with a 5-star hotel for less than half of the money that Adani is asking for. Would we not consider such other offers or such other groups that may give us value for our money? Thank you.
Buenos Aires.
On what method of procurement to use, Treasury's role is just to guide. It's supposed to be the contracting authority, because again, if we gave too much directives to the contracting authority, I would again be here for interfering with the process. So we guide the contracting authority, in this case, KAA. And policy direction is from the State Department for Transport. So I want again be clear there that the policy direction will be given or is given by transport. In terms of where we are with this process, we are at due diligence stage still. And I read it when I documented the steps that have been taken. So we are at the due diligence where all the issues that are of concern to the people, including public participation, if it were not for the court process, would still be ongoing as we speak. So there you can easily pick out issues of concern. Now, as to whether there is another provider, you see, this process has not concluded. I want to come back to that again. In fact, it will only conclude when the matter goes to the cabinet, where I sit, and the Attorney General also must give authority. So this process is still going on. And when it reaches the point where we now have to make a decision presented with facts on value for money, I am sure we'll engage our minds properly to it. But I also know, because I've also heard, and I had to inquire, that there could be another interest even after Adani. I have heard, I have no evidence, no documents, that there could be another interest. But then the assurance I'm given is that there is nothing that stops KAA even from initiating another process or PIP. Even if it is a Qatar Airways, they can still initiate it now. And the only provision in law is that if that is concluded and it is better than the Adani one, then they would compensate Adani. That is what is provided in law, to the extent that that compensation is needed to be done. So I think, if you ask me, that this process is still at some stage where I think many of us are rushing to a conclusion that is concluded. Whether it is concluded in some people's minds, I don't know, because I can't open people's minds and hearts. But what I know is, in terms of process and procedure, it is not. It has not come to the cabinet. The Attorney General has not approved it. So why are we concluding that it is concluded? For me, it is not concluded. Till it will be concluded.
Why the project is not suitable for open competitive procurement. In your response, you indicated time. And that is on the document that is on e-paper. They said the reason why, it looks like an emergency. But now that you have heard there are other people who are interested, of which we are going to say why they never forwarded this PIP. They only chose to forward the Adani one. Now that you post everything and actually re-advertise, maybe there are others who would want to come and give a better deal.
Actually from KAA, the contracting authority, it's not from Treasury. And it is the contracting authority which has made that observation of time. There is committee to guide, the PPP committee. But I also want to say this, Chair. Truth be told, our airport needs to be developed. We have complaints about the leaking roofs. We have complained about power. As to whether this PIP was the right thing to do, it is for the contracting authority to address. But what I know is PIP is provided in law. And as far as where it has reached, I have no reason as CS National Treasury of the Republic of Kenya to fault any process. The process is still ongoing. So far, I have no reasons to doubt the work that has been done by both the directorate, the committee, and even the contracting authority. So whether this should be stopped is not a decision I would sit here as CS, and that is why we have independent PPP committee to deal with that, the directorate to guide, the contracting authority. If I now come here as CS Finance and say they should stop, on what grounds?
But you sit at the cabinet and you're going to discuss it there. Would you give such an opinion?
Of course, if it comes to the cabinet, I will deal with it there. And you see, whatever we'll discuss in the cabinet will remain in the cabinet.
Senator Chute.
Yeah, maybe before you give Senator Chute.
I don't know what
this
what
committee
the
made a
CS means.
recommendation.
I don't know what it means because I have seen dispatches from cabinet when it will remain there. Because after cabinet meetings, I usually see something called a dispatch from cabinet on the things that you have discussed. Honorable Mbadi, we live in a country of transparency. If it is a matter affecting all of us, you cannot say as CS that it will remain there. That airport does not belong to cabinet. It belongs to all the 55 million of us. And as the house that oversights executive, I think you should withdraw that statement, Honorable CS.
The recommendations.
Chairman, you know, Honorable Sifuna and I, up to recently, have not had the luxury of being in the cabinet. And I've just been in the cabinet for a few weeks, but this is the information.
So you need some induction.
This is the information I would supply. That communication from the cabinet will come officially. Whatever is discussed in the cabinet is not for public consumption, but what the outcome, the decision of the cabinet will be communicated. Whoever disagrees and agrees, we will never know. And I'm not at liberty to give my opinion here, because then it will be said that Mbadi was overruled. So let me go to the cabinet and engage my mind at the cabinet. Then when the communication comes, you should know it is a collective responsibility, which now I cannot run away from, even if I had a different opinion.
Okay, Bonas, yes. Vice Chair, a quick one, 1 minute.
Yeah.
Just 1 minute.
Chair, I just needed to put the record straight. No, that we in this committee or in the Senate are not opposed to the improvements in maintenance and even enlargement of development at the airport. We are not opposed to that. Neither are we opposed to the BOT, the build, operate and transfer method. We only want Kenyans to get value for money. We want the best to be given in order to do the job at the airport.
Yeah, that's setting the records.
CS, if you ask to distribute your fees, there are these 4 methods of procurement. And you have been approached for advisory because the PIP proposal was brought to Treasury. And then also there are 3 other methods which are acceptable in law that can be followed. Is it possible for you as CS Treasury to guide that because of the nature of this project, let us avoid PIP and go to competitive bidding, also noting that this project has brought a lot of public outcry. So at your level now where we are, is it possible to advise or to guide that let us stop the PIP because it was brought on by Adani, and then we open it to competitive bidding, so that also you can get an opportunity also to make sure that Adani also competes with other stakeholders who might be interested in the project.
Bonas,
to step outside the law. The public-private partnerships procurement methods are outlined in law. A contracting authority may procure a public-private partnership project under this act through A, direct procurement, B, privately initiated proposals, or C, competitive bidding, and D, restricted bidding. So either one of these can be picked and executed. So long as it is executed within the law, there would be no problem. So if it is pointed out to me clearly that there is a violation of the law, I would guide otherwise. As to whether there were other PIPs, I'm yet to see. What I have seen here are letters, written, expression of interest. You know, even me, I can write to KAA and express my interest. that I want to develop the airport, it doesn't have to proceed to PIP because there are conditions, there are things you have to fulfill. So if it is proved that there are some proposals that went to KAA, proposals, not expression of interest, and KAA did not act, then KAA needs to respond to Kenyans and tell us what happened. As far as I'm concerned, and I want to repeat, Treasury is not in receipt of any other PIP apart from the one by Adani.
My question, Chair, is very simple. Whether as custodian of our Treasury, is it possible to guide the government where you sit, the presidency? Is it possible to guide that this method is not the best, let us go to competitive bidding? Is it possible to guide at that level where we are today?
And again, Banasias, you said in your response, you actually quoted Section 40, subsection 2 of the PPP Act, saying that the project should be delivered at a fair market price. How would you know a fair market price if it is not competitive?
That is provided under PIP. You know, we are mixing two procurement methods, Chair. You cannot have PIP and have competitive bidding. It's not practical.
No,
so under PIP, to determine that, you do due diligence, technical evaluation, and that is the process.
The line we are talking about, Banasias, is the justification why the project is not suitable for competitive procurement. That is where we are.
You know, the assumption here is that procurement, competitive bidding, is superior to PIP. And I'm not seeing that in law. Can someone point out to me in this act?
But it's the law. It's the law that says, the one you're holding,
this law,
that you have to give justification why it is not suitable for open competitive procurement, not direct. So the one that is superior, actually, from that line is open competitive procurement, because you only need to give justification why you are not using that. So it must be the one that is superior.
And that is required for KAA to state, and they have stated. You can agree with it, you can
disagree. We want you to guide them. That is a question.
You see,
whether you'd want to guide them.
Chair, let us allow the technical evaluation to proceed. Once it is done, once it is done, this process will even come to the cabinet. It will go to the Attorney General. All these legal provisions. In fact, the Attorney General has no capacity to even advise Cabinet Secretary.
That is why under Section 40, Clause 3, Paragraph J, you are required to give a justification why you can't use competitive bidding, because that is the default procurement standard. You are supposed to justify why you can't use competitive bidding. So I'd like to inform you that competitive bidding is superior and the default position in procurement. So when you want to deviate from that, you must justify. Of all the procurement methods you have given, the law does not require you to say why you can't use direct procurement, why you can't use whatever request for proposal. It requires you to state why you can't use competitive bidding. Because even in Article 227 of the Constitution, Clause 1, you have to procure in a competitive manner. So competitive procurement is the most ideal, it is the superior. These others are deviations, and they are ring-fenced. You must justify why you are deviating from the standard or the default position. That's why the law requires that justification. So it's a superior method of procurement. That's the information I need to share, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you.
Am I audible enough? Thank you, Chair. Waziri and DG, are you aware that Adani company, and I'll request that you write down so that you respond once and for all. Are you aware that Adani group of companies have any affiliates in the country? Number one. Number two, there is a report by a consultancy company of America called Edinburgh Consultancy Company Limited. In the last 2 years, they uncovered tax manipulation and other illegal things that made Adani group of companies lose $100 billion. Are you aware of such? And the recent one of Swiss authorities where allegations were facing Adani company that the account in Switzerland of 310 million had been frozen. Number 3, in your Annex B, you are presented on the issue of work visa. That area, Waziri, is gray. What will be the fate of Kenya Airports Authority employees who were just demonstrating the other day over their worry and the fate of their work-related? And it is not clear who should Adani come with, because the issue of expatriates, the issue of qualification at one of view. Number 4, there is a tunnel clause of 18% at the end of 30 years concession, a period of 30 years, that there is a tunnel clause of 18%. Does it mean after 30 years, Adani will continue owning JKIA, our airport, with a stake of 18% forever until Jesus comes back? Number 5, I have letters here, and I don't know whether DG, you are aware, there are many letters from then PS Irungu Nyakera on developing Konsa Airport. Are there any PIPs on that matter? The 6th, Chair, I have seen most of the correspondence have the former Minister of Roads, Kipchumba Murkomen, there is the former MDK Alex Kitari, and former CS of National Treasury, CS Ndungu. Is it possible to invite them to the committee to share more light, because it looks Waziri Mbadi is shooting in the dark? Is it possible to have them, including what was happening in Dubai, under the guise of other things? So is it possible so that we can get the correct version? Let us have, and I want to advise, yes, Mbadi, we know you just came the other day. Don't carry anybody's cross. If this thing is gray, call it as it is. Run away from where you come from, and your SG is here. It is good to stand with the truth and the transparency. So if the other people messed in office, don't carry any other. Then the 6th question, I have seen the letter in Annex F, sorry, that was addressed to PS Dagar. And they are saying the JKL land will be provided by KA. I thought all land below is managed on behalf of National County through National Land Commission. You need to clarify that. On the issue of fixed exclusive concession fee, is about 47 million. And in fact, per annum, and they are saying they will adjust 10% based on inflation. Don't you think this is expensive for the country? And finally, Chair, on the feasibility report that was done by KA to Adani, in your own opinion as an auditor, was this an insider trading, or let me, for lack of a better word, that was being used to try and perpetuate, in conclusion, Chair, to try and perpetuate giving state capture, giving upper hand to Adani group of companies that is running everybody, is running Shiv, is running now Ketraco, is running our airports. Who knows, they may come and run our wives and our children if we are not careful with this Adani group of companies. So, Chair, I request, yes, Mbadi, tell the country the truth. Every Kenyan, from even Suba to Nandi, would really want to know your position on this matter. And I want to say, with exception, Chair, when you took an oath of office to protect the rule of law and the Constitution, you cannot be part of an illegality. It is also your responsibility to advise the government on the rule of law and the truth, Chair. So, Chair, on this issue of Adani, I would have expected a lot from, and that is why your former colleagues in the other side of the aisle do not believe who you are, because we wanted you to tell us the truth as it should be. So please run away from this one. Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
Really wrong with having local affiliates, if you ask me. If it is procedurally done and made public. American consultant making allegations, I have no idea of that. But let us also be careful, because allegations, you know, there is also international competition. So,
This is, Chair, point of order. This is a consultancy that has been tabled even in the Senate and Congress of the US. So you cannot say it's allegations. It is a stock market, they rose to over 100 billion. It is on record. These guys were in India, unless they were going to buy sari. But if they were careful, and other things which we know what you did in, and we will table that evidence, Bwana DG, when time comes, on what you are doing, where you are, and what you are processing there. With who and why. On this 100 billion, Bwana CS, it is on record in the Indian stock market, the SEBI, which is stock exchange market of India, has investigated this gentleman and found out of tax manipulation and others, it is on record, is 100 billion US dollars. So it's not allegations.
So, Chair, let me again repeat what I said. We have a process that is ongoing to date, a very extensive technical evaluation. If all the facts that Senator Cherargei is bringing forth is accurate, that will be found out. It will be discovered. I want to be on record. From the information I have, my DG has not traveled to India on this matter. There is an officer from the directorate, but it's not him. Now, let's talk about the workers.
If DG is on oath, why is the CS answering on behalf of the DG? Can the DG just confirm?
But Chair,
he said
he's also on oath, so
he
also
said he's going
answer.
to give him an opportunity, so allow the CS to first of all finish.
Chair, actually I wanted to raise that from the beginning.
But you are with us in Parliament, how do you know he had not travelled?
That the letter, you see, I've come to answer questions on behalf of the National Treasury.
I know.
And Chair, I would want to just request that that is respected. I am
no,
not,
we don't, I don't have a problem. No, you know,
Senator,
CS Mbadi.
Can I just confirm?
Senator Cherargei,
You know,
allow the CS.
No, the Deputy Speaker should hold resources. You are in charge, Chairman.
Allow the CS to express himself.
But I'm saying on issue, if we want to find out if you came from Kiambu today.
And I respected that the letter to Treasury was inviting the CS. The others was to accompany me. If you look at that letter, in fact, even putting the digit under oath, the letter I have, and I want to repeat, dated 18th, was addressed to the CS, and in that letter I was asked to come with my PS, to come with the DG, and to come with other members of the committee. So I am the witness.
Yeah, but nothing stops this committee from
that
asking
is why
anyone,
the DG has
not
been
just the
responding.
DG.
He will, and I say it, he is here, he will tell you. I have just responded that the officer who came from the Treasury to India for this due diligence was not the DG. If the DG went to India...
Can you table the evidence of that, officer? Thank you, Chair. As a procedure of Parliament, can you table the details on the date and time and the hotels he slept with? Other stories we don't want, just the official ones. We know there are many unofficial ones.
No, you know, Cherargei, that's an information.
No, Waziri, you answer me through the chair.
Senator,
you are not
Cherargei,
answering
through the chair. Chair.
Yes,
A public officer traveling using public resources can never be secret. If you want to get information on who.
Through you, Chair.
You know, Cherargei asked about 8 questions, and we have not even had.
Through you, Chair.
Can we have the 7 questions?
Let me supply it. If you have your information, then don't ask me. If you don't want me to say what I know.
Let's have the CS. I won't entertain.
I am giving you the information I have.
I won't entertain.
The information I have
point of order.
is that there is a team.
Do you have the DG's passport for us to see whether he traveled or not?
Senator Onyonka.
Chair, can you be in control of this meeting?
Senator Onyonka.
Everybody's talking.
Are you directing
I will switch off your microphone. I will switch off your microphone. Allow the CS to answer so that Senator Chute can also ask questions. Let's not waste time with interjections that are not necessary. Give him 2 minutes. Senator Chute, I'll give you a minute after he answers the question. Otherwise, why were we asking the questions if we cannot allow the CS to answer them? So kindly give him time to answer the question.
Transit. So that is there in the report. So I don't see why that should be a problem. On the issue of 18% up to 30 years, I'll ask Kirigwa to respond to. PIPs for Konza Airport, again, Kirigwa, you can tell us if there is anything to that effect. Correspondence by various CSS, and I've been told not to carry anybody's cross. I am not carrying anybody's cross, Honorable Senator Cherargei, through the chair. I have no reason to. And by the way, what I'm giving you are facts. I am the CS National Treasury. When a matter like this comes up, what I do is to get the information. I have looked for this information. I have supplied the information which we have. Any other information that is flying out there, I don't have it. JKIA land will be provided by KAA, and you said that is not procedural. This is what the report captures, the report of the committee. Land acquisition or allocation should be aligned with the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport master plan and subject to availability of land and requisite approvals, in bracket KAA board, National Land Commission, other relevant government agencies, which would include the person who is in custody of the title deeds. And that is where my office is. Noting that KAA has existing leases on land with third parties. So I think I've addressed that one. Feasibility report. The information I have, the feasibility study was done by Adani and submitted to KAA. So that is the information. It was not done jointly, the way I understand it. It was done by Adani and submitted to KAA, which now then became the project, is it called project development report? The project development report, and which was then submitted for evaluation to the directorate. So that's a bit that I would clearly put across. Kirigwa, kindly respond to some two issues here.
Before you go to Kirigwa, Chair,
it specified that they will only take a percentage. And I said I need to check whether they stated that. But the report of the committee, and I beg that you allow Honorable Sifuna to focus on me so that he can...
I am very focused.
The report of the committee is very clear.
Point of information.
100%. In fact, the committee has recommended that before this matter progresses further, that Adani must ensure and commit and confirm. And I want to repeat it. I want to repeat the report. The PPP committee also directed that the following should be addressed in the concession agreement. It is page 12 of my submission. D, that the contracting authority, Kenya Airports Authority, should ensure that current employees of JKIA are onboarded by the concessionaire on priority basis and on better terms. Further, that the concessionaire gives preference to recruitment of Kenyan nationals in all positions. So I'm not giving two answers. The answer that I gave you about not knowing the percentage is when you asked me that Adani had proposed a percentage.
Yeah,
I
so
said
CS,
I didn't have that.
You're confirming as a CS for National Treasury, you have not read the proposal from Adani. You don't know what is in there.
You know, let me tell you, Chair, I really even don't need to read the proposal of Adani. Because
how can you say that, Honorable
Actually,
CS?
the CS Treasury has very limited role. The only thing I am doing is to look at the procedure, how it is followed. And my directorate has looked into this matter, has found gray areas, including that issue of staff. And the committee, the PPP committee, has made a recommendation, which should be binding. Then what is the problem?
At the very least,
what is the problem?
Yes. My expectation.
If you want to go that direction, then there must be a public
forgive
participation.
me, Honorable Mbadi, for holding you in very high regard. But you know why? There is no take a contract with Adani or choose to remain with KA, but you cannot work at Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. They can send you to Malindi, or you quit and you take a package of what is it called? A golden parachute package. So, Honorable CS Mbadi, this is why we were insisting that even though we know the oath of secrecy in the conversations at Cabinet, what we want is coherence in communication of government policy and the position. So which one are we supposed to take? The CS Treasury or the CS Transport?
And also the CS Transport told us that if we cancel this deal, we are not going to lose any money. But you mentioned we are going to lose money.
Where
clarify.
we are, there is no deal. What deal are we talking about? As far as I'm concerned, there is no deal. This is a process. And so there is nothing you're going to lose. You'll just return the money.
Chair, which money?
Let me
With
just
the
put
public
it.
uproar, why don't you recommend to be cancelled? Leave it. Walk away from it.
Let me just put this.
If it
Chair.
works
Okay.
or works like a duck,
Chair.
it's a duck.
Chair,
It's
on
a smell
this,
skunk.
why are you rooting for Qatar Airways?
No, I'm not saying I'm Qatar. No,
Yes.
Chair, can you withdraw?
Yeah, good
I am
question.
not
To
an
get
Islam
one
supporter,
even
Chair.
from Uganda. Get one from
Yeah.
You
Uganda.
can get
Good.
one from Ethiopia.
Can you
Yes.
withdraw?
And let me
Chair,
put
can you
it this
withdraw
way.
to
Chair.
impute that they are
This is the corruption we don't want.
Qatar?
Yeah, can I just?
We don't know even where
Can I just
Qatar
respond to
is.
this issue?
Let's
Why
have the
is it?
CS. Let's
For
have the
employees.
CS.
And the
Yes.
PS withdraw
Because I
that
think
part
this is
of
very
Qatar.
important.
Chair,
Let the
since
CS talk
Kenyans-
about the employees.
Can you withdraw first?
There is no inconsistency, Chair. You cannot take all the employees of KAA to work if they don't want to work. That is why it is said they will be onboarded on priority basis. And then, if you look at this document we call heads of terms, it's very clear that during the interim management period, the JKIA employees will remain employed by the grantor. The concessionaire will make an offer to the existing employees on terms that are no less favorable to their existing terms of employment. In fact, this provision of the law
Have you done some
is even clear.
public hearings for you to say that?
Public hearing.
Public
Yeah.
participation.
Do I address that? You know, Chair, I have said the committee recommended public engagement. It is in my response. It is a process that is ongoing now. Yeah?
Chair.
If it were not for
Excuse
the
me,
courts,
Chair.
the stoppage by the courts,
Excuse me, Chair. Employees of Kenya Airports Authority were forced to go and hold a meeting under gunpoint.
you know,
Being told by
Chair,
his people
Chair,
to go and sign documents
Chair,
that they have
just the
attended the
same way.
function.
Just the same way when the senators get agitated when you make wild allegations. Please.
They are not wild. We
Please,
have the evidence.
please.
They can table affidavits in
Cannot
this
be wild
committee.
allegations.
They are not wild. John Mbadi, I don't even have a child who works at the airport.
I also don't
want
even
to
have
These
a
are your people being kicked out.
Chair.
Senator
Point of
Onyonka.
order, they can never be wild
Calm down.
allegations.
Chair, I
Calm
doubt
down.
whether this
Calm
country.
down.
Calm
himself.
down.
Chair.
Calm down.
Point of order.
Chair, I wonder.
Yeah,
When
you're
you
not
talk-
accusing
when-
your
when-
committee of allowing peddling
No,
of
no, no,
wild
no. It's
allegations.
Chair.
because I have given everybody
Chair.
an opportunity. You cannot shout back at each other. I'm giving everybody an opportunity to express themselves. So can he finish? If you have an additional question, you ask. So,
Chair, people are being fired from work. Look at those workers. Go and see them when you're traveling.
Chair, point of order, Chair.
can I
It's
have
absurd what we are doing
Senator
to this
Chute?
country.
Point of order, Chair.
You know, by saying
Chair,
wild
kindly
allegations,
invoke.
it's dangerous.
Because that's what you always do. That's also what you
Out of
do.
order.
Isn't that what you do? That's what you do when you're fighting Wamatangi.
I'm telling
That's
you,
what
out
you
of
do.
order.
We are not like you.
Senator
This is a
Onyonka.
national matter.
Chairman, we
Senator
can
Onyonka.
move
Not agree to be
from
railroaded.
that chair.
Now,
This is-
ukora.
Cannot
Chair,
talk to
some
us
of
like
us
that.
have been
No,
chairs.
sir,
and
this
we
is
have
not a
done
TV
better.
interview.
You
Chair,
cannot,
being
cannot
chair,
be
some of
intimidated.
us
We
have been
cannot,
chair.
we cannot,
Chairman,
We
you
are
cannot
not
say
you being
that.
chairs.
No, 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 no.
We
You
have
cannot say
chaired.
that.
if you
We have
disrespect,
chaired in this parliament
if you
with Mbadi in the
disrespect
last
the chair,
Just say so.
and I chaired a
If
very
you
serious
disrespect-
committee of jail act.
if you
apologize for
disrespect
that.
the
It's
chair,
about Kenyans.
if you disrespect the chair, I'm going to invoke every other standing orders that will make sure that you align. Let's have Omtata. Kindly, don't use this committee to come.
Chair, you can't
No, no,
say
no,
that.
no, no. I have
You cannot
no.
say that.
Because there's a deal coming.
Cannot say
What
that.
are the
I'm trying to say.
deals which have made our country become ungovernable?
Yeah,
Let's have
Chair, can I
Senator
just say
Omtata.
one thing?
Senator Omtata.
Senator Omtata. Senator Omtata, with respect,
Let's
just
have
let me
Senator
say one thing to
Omtata.
the
No,
chair.
I'm the chair, not Omtata.
Yeah, but chair,
Let's have Senator Omtata.
Chair.
I'll give you an opportunity.
yeah, please,
I'll
let's
give you an
not,
opportunity.
let's not,
Can I have Senator Omtata to ask his question?
Chair, you know it's impeachment season. Please don't joke around with us.
It doesn't matter.
will impeach you.
I will stick within the standing
No,
orders.
gusa kila kitu
I will
lakini
stick
usiguze
within the
mlima.
standing orders.
Gusa kila kitu
Yeah.
lakini usiguze mlima.
Let's have Senator
Please.
Omtata. Senator Omtata.
Yes, Honorable Chair, thank you for the opportunity. And I would want to begin by saying that Honorable Waziri, also thank you for giving us a well paginated and arranged documents I must appreciate that. It has been easy to follow your documents. I only wanted to refer you to Exhibit BB and CC. Those are drafts of the ALG reports. And if you look at Exhibit BB, it really has got no value. It just has an index, just a list of indexes. But when your brother, Honorable Churchill, was here, he brought us final reports of that study. So I don't understand why you brought us drafts when your brother brought us final copies of the reports on which I had wanted to ask you questions, but you brought drafts that are not really applicable. So I would be asking, I've got two documents I would like to table here, which I would ask I think copies are with the clerk. There's a dispatch from the cabinet, that's issue number 8 of 2024, 99 of 2024. And I would say, they talk of we propose to negotiate favorable terms with the land. Next bullet, we propose to explore different financing options, including loans, bonds, etc., and financing method. We propose to structure debt in a way that aligns JKA, whatever, and there are many other places. So, is Adani investing in Kenya, or is Adani doing a brokerage service for the Republic of Kenya? I would like to mention, it says GOK, that's Government of Kenya, to enter into direct stroke substitution. Then they require land free of encumbrance and what have you.
Ensara TV, ekerenga kyomogusi.